Hello guys, welcome back to the Silent Corridor YouTube channel. Today, we've a rather unsettling account, a genuine raw experience passed on to us by Claire Matthews, concerning a disturbing series of events that befell her brother Ethan. Now, we often discuss entities, unwanted attachments, but what makes this particularly chilling is when these things seek you out, when they arrive unbidden on your own doorstep. Detaching them in such cases, well, it's often far more complex, far more perilous, than if you were the one who stumbled across something out there and brought it back inadvertently. This is Ethan's story, and frankly, it's not one that's entirely over even now. Before we delve in, a quick note. We're running a title contest for this very narrative. Listen closely. Think of a gripping title that fits the atmosphere and events, and pop it down in the comments below. If your title is chosen, we'll use it and give you a shout out in a future video. So, do stick around to the end and get those creative minds working. Right, the core of the story centers on Claire's older brother, Ethan. At the time this began, roughly 3 years back, Ethan was 18. A truly bright lad, mind you. He'd excelled in school, scored admirably on his exams. 87% in his secondary school leaving cert. 89 in his high school finals. They lived in a small rural community down in Georgia, where the local school only went up to 12th grade. For his further studies, Ethan needed to relocate to a slightly larger town, perhaps a good hour or so away, where the educational facilities were more comprehensive. Now Ethan's father had a rather close friend, a Mr. Harrison, who resided in this very town. Mr. Harrison had a substantial property, a rather sprawling estate with a main house, and then, some distance closer to the main entrance gates, a pair of detached rooms. A bit of a buffer zone, you see. Knowing Ethan needed lodgings, his father spoke with Mr. Harrison. Being good chaps, Mr. Harrison insisted, "Your son is like my own. Send him here. We've a spare room out by the gate, completely separate. He can study there in peace. Won't disturb a soul. Get him down here as soon as you can. Get him settled. Get his studies underway." So, Ethan moved in. His father dropped him off, made sure he was comfortable in one of the two rooms, perfectly clean, well-maintained spaces they were, and left him to begin his college preparatory studies. As I said, Ethan was a keen student. He'd often put in 14, sometimes 15 hours a day. His routine was quite structured. He'd study late into the night, and when he was finally finished, usually around 1:30 in the morning, he'd step outside his room to the spigot just by the wall, wash his face and hands, and then head straight to bed. This became his nightly ritual. He was getting on well with his studies, speaking to his family back home regularly, and Mr. Harrison and his family found him a pleasant, diligent young man. One night, following his usual routine, he finished studying around 1:30 a.m., stepped out to the spigot. As he was splashing water on his face, he had the distinct feeling he wasn't alone. He glanced up, and about 30 feet away, near a lamppost marking the edge of the property's driveway, stood a girl. The light was behind her, casting her face in shadow, so he couldn't make out her features clearly. But he could tell it was a young woman, standing absolutely still, simply looking in his direction. He felt a jolt of unease, a bit unnerved. It was late after all. He quickly finished washing up, went back inside his room quietly, and locked the door. He tried not to think about it and eventually drifted off. The next night, same time, same ritual. He was outside at the spigot, and there she was again. But tonight, she was closer, and where she stood, the light fell directly on her face. Ethan looked at her, and in that moment he was utterly captivated. She was, quite simply, the most beautiful girl he had ever seen in his life. He found himself just staring, unable to look away, and she was staring back, a gentle, sweet smile playing on her lips. That smile, it was mesmerizing, almost hypnotic. He stood there for a moment, lost in the sight of her. He eventually came back to himself with a start. Here he was, a quiet, reserved young man, staring unabashedly at a stranger in the middle of the night. Feeling heat rise to his cheeks, he quickly ducked his head, finished his wash-up in a hurry, went back inside his room, and bolted the door. He didn't stop to question why. A girl would be standing outside his room at 1:30 in the morning. He just got into bed. Sleep didn't come easily. That face, that smile, it was etched into his mind. He lay awake for a long time, thinking about her, wondering who she was, why she was there, and why she kept returning. He decided that if she came back again the following night, he would speak to her. The next day dragged by. He was preoccupied with thoughts of the previous night. When evening came, he focused on his studies, but the anticipation was building. As 1:30 a.m. approached, he finished up and went out to the spigot, and there she was again, closer still tonight. Taking a deep breath, Ethan walked towards her. "Excuse me," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Who are you, and why do you come here every night?" She smiled, that same enchanting smile. "I come to see you," she replied softly. "I like you very much, and I come here every night just to be with you." Ethan was taken aback, a mix of shock and flattery washing over him. "But who lets you out at night like this?" he stammered. "Oh, my family don't allow me out," she said. "I have to sneak out after they're asleep. I've liked you since the first time I saw you, so I come here every night just to see you." Well, hearing that, Ethan felt a definite flutter of excitement. He walked right up to her, and they began to talk. They spoke for perhaps 15-20 minutes like this. Then the girl said, "My leg is aching dreadfully. I can't stand here talking. Could we go inside your room? We could talk properly there." Ethan hesitated for a moment, glancing around in the dim light. There was no one about. Despite a nagging feeling of unease, he found himself unable to refuse. He nodded, and she simply walked past him and entered his room. He followed her inside, closing the door behind them. They sat and talked for what felt like no time at all, yet the clock hands kept turning. Ethan felt an instant, effortless connection with her, as if they had known each other for years. They talked and talked. Then, precisely as the clock struck 2, she stood up. "Right," she said. "I must be going. I'll be back tomorrow night, around 1:30. Don't you forget." And with that, she turned and walked out of his room. The moment she was gone, Ethan rushed to the door, opening it to watch her leave. He saw her step out, but within seconds, she had simply vanished. From his doorway to the main gate was a considerable distance. No one could simply disappear like that. He was bewildered. Maybe, he thought, she had a secret way off the property, a shortcut she used because she was sneaking out. He closed his door, utterly baffled, but also rather thrilled by the encounter. He lay in bed, thinking about her, this beautiful girl who sought him out. The only thing that truly puzzled him was why she only came at night, but he put it down to her story about her family. And so, a pattern was established. Every single night, without fail, the girl would arrive at his room at exactly 1:30 a.m. and stay until 2 a.m. Their bond deepened, and Ethan found himself becoming increasingly consumed by her. His focus on his studies evaporated. All he could think about was her. He lived for those 30 minutes each night, waiting impatiently for 1:30 a.m. to arrive. He tried several times to learn more about her, where she lived, her family, her background, but each time she would simply deflect his questions. "When the time is right, I'll tell you everything," she'd say. "But I've told you, I sneak out because I like you so much." Despite the lack of answers, Ethan was already too enamored to press the issue. Those 30 minutes with her were the highlight of his day, a perfect escape. A month passed like this. Ethan's academic performance plummeted. He barely studied at all, his mind constantly on the girl, and his health began to suffer dramatically. Before she came into his life, he was a healthy 75 kilograms. In just that month, he'd wasted away, losing 20 kilograms, dropping to roughly 54 or 55 kilograms. He had no appetite, no regular sleep schedule, awake all night, sleeping erratically during the day. His health was rapidly deteriorating. One afternoon, sitting alone, he looked at himself and his life. What had happened to him? He was a dedicated student. Now he was a wreck, physically and academically. The girl, while she brought him joy in the moment, her presence had thrown his entire life into disarray. He knew he couldn't continue like this. He had to get back on track, focus on his future. He made a firm decision. He would not see the girl tonight. His plan was simple. Go to bed early, well before 1:30 a.m., and make sure his door was locked. If he was asleep and the door was secured, she wouldn't be able to get in. He finished his minimal studies around 11:30 p.m. and got into bed, pulling the covers up. He lay there, wide awake, the minutes ticking by slowly. As the clock in the hallway chimed 1:30, he heard a faint sound in his room. A soft rustle, like movement. He turned his head towards the door, and there she was, standing by his locked door, inside the room, smiling at him. Ethan's heart hammered against his ribs. He stared, dumbfounded. How did you get in?" he whispered, his voice trembling. "The door was locked." She simply smiled. "Oh, I can get through doors," she said, her voice light, almost playful. "It's a bit of magic. Perhaps I'll teach you sometime." He was utterly floored by this response, deeply unsettled, yet something about her presence prevented him from reacting with outright panic. He just stared. "Right," he managed finally. "Well, you came early tonight. I went to bed." "Yes," she said, moving closer and sitting on the edge of his bed. "You seemed a bit unwell. Feeling a bit low, perhaps? Is that why you went to bed early?" As she said the words low, Ethan suddenly felt a wave of fatigue wash over him, a profound sense of weariness and weakness that hadn't been there moments before. It was uncanny. He nodded weakly. They talked for a while longer, the same easy conversation as before. But for Ethan, the underlying dread was now undeniable. As always, at exactly 2 a.m., she stood up. "I must go now," she said. "I'll be back tomorrow." And she was gone. After she left, Ethan lay there, the reality of the situation sinking in. She wasn't just a girl sneaking out. She was something else entirely. He had to find a way to deal with this. The next day, as if by fate, Mr. Harrison's wife, whom Ethan called Aunt Carol, called him over to the main house. "Ethan, dear," she said, her face full of concern. "Are you quite all right? You've lost so much weight. You look dreadfully thin. Are you ill?" Just then, Mr. Harrison joined them, echoing his wife's worries. "Good heavens, lad. When you arrived here, you were a strapping young man. Look at you now. You're wasting away. Are you eating properly? Is something troubling you?" Seeing their genuine concern and desperate for help, Ethan decided this was his chance. He took a deep breath and recounted everything that had happened since that first night at the Spigot. He told them about the beautiful girl, her nightly visits between 1:30 and 2 a.m., her ability to enter his locked room, his deteriorating health, and his failed attempt to avoid her. Mr. Harrison listened, his eyes widening in disbelief. "A girl? Coming here every night? But the gates are locked." "She doesn't need the gates, sir," Ethan said, his voice low. She comes through the door, right through it." Mr. Harrison burst out laughing, a nervous, disbelieving sound. "Nonsense, lad. Through the door? You're pulling my leg. Trying to tell us you've got a sweetheart sneaking in? You're spinning us a yarn." "No, sir, it's true," Ethan insisted. "I tried to stop her. I went to bed early, locked the door tight, and she still came in at 1:30. Mr. Harrison was still skeptical, thinking it was perhaps a secret romance and Ethan was making up stories to cover it. "All right," he said, a challenge in his voice. "If this girl can come through the door, can you show her to me?" Ethan nodded eagerly. Yes, I can. Tonight, sir, please. Just before 1:30 a.m., hide in the room next to mine. The door has a small peephole. You can watch through there. You'll see her when she arrives." Mr. Harrison, intrigued and still half convinced Ethan was inventing things, agreed. "Very well, I'll do it. But listen here," he added, his tone shifting to a more serious, fatherly one. "Regardless of this business, Aunt Carol and I are setting you a proper eating schedule. You'll come to the main house for breakfast and dinner. Your health is failing, lad, and we'd never forgive ourselves if something happened to you while you were under our roof." What would we tell your father? They truly cared for him, and Ethan agreed gratefully. That night, around 1:15 a.m., Mr. Harrison, armed with a healthy dose of skepticism, crept into the room next to Ethan's and positioned himself at the peephole, his eye fixed on the door to Ethan's room. He was absolutely alert, determined not to miss a thing. As his wristwatch chimed 1:30 a.m., a sudden, sharp, stinging sensation flared in his eyes. He blinked rapidly, rubbing them for a second, then looked back through the peephole. His jaw dropped. Standing directly outside Ethan's closed door was a girl, and she was breathtakingly beautiful, more beautiful than anyone Mr. Harrison had ever seen. She was just standing there. And then, he saw Ethan walk towards the door from the inside and begin talking to her through it. Ethan had deliberately stood there, near the door, so his uncle could see her. After a moment or two of conversation, the girl turned and walked straight through the solid wooden door and into the room. Ethan followed her inside, closing the door. Mr. Harrison, utterly shaken to his core, stumbled back from the peephole and hurried back to his own house. The moment dawn broke, Mr. Harrison was on the phone to Ethan's father. "Listen," he said, his voice tight with urgency. "You need to come here now, as fast as you can. And when you come, you need to find a priest, an exorcist, someone who understands these things. Bring them back here with you. I've seen it. Last night. With my own eyes. It's not just a girl. It's something else. Something not right." Ethan's father was terrified by what he heard. He told his wife, who immediately broke down in tears. "Our son," she cried. "Go get him. The rest can wait. Get our boy home first." That very day, they drove to Chapel Creek. They spoke with Mr. Harrison, who recounted his chilling experience, the fear evident in his voice. Then they told Ethan to pack his things. He was coming home. Ethan, who had been dreading confronting the girl again but also desperately wanting to escape, saw this as his chance. He quickly gathered his belongings, thinking that if he just left, she wouldn't know where he lived in the village, and he'd be free of her. Within half an hour, they were in the car, driving back home. Ethan felt a tentative sense of relief. He was safe now, back home. A few days here, recover, then maybe go back to studying elsewhere, somewhere she wouldn't find him. He went to bed that night in his own room in the village house, feeling a fragile sense of security. Sometime in the middle of the night, Ethan woke abruptly. He felt a weight by his head. He opened his eyes and there she was, sitting by the head of his bed, looking down at him, smiling that same sweet, unsettling smile. Ethan's heart leaped into his throat. You're here?" he stammered, utterly astonished and terrified. How? How did you get here?" Ignoring his questions completely, she spoke. "Why are you here, Ethan? Why did you come back? I felt it, you know. I felt you trying to get away from me. Is that what this is? You thought coming here would separate us?" Her smile widened, but there was no warmth in her eyes. "Didn't you understand what I told you? No one can separate us, and if anyone tries, well, they won't live long enough to regret it." She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a soft, chilling tone. "I love you, Ethan. I will always love you. You belong to me now. You cannot escape. I won't harm you. But anyone who interferes, they will pay the ultimate price." Ethan swallowed hard, trying desperately to hide his fear. He needed to play along, not let her know he was trying to escape. No, he said quickly. "It's not like that at all. I wasn't trying to get away. My health, it wasn't good in town, was it? My parents saw how thin I was, and they insisted I come home for a bit just to recover. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know where you lived, and then they just came and took me." He forced a smile. "I had no idea you could find me here. It's wonderful you came. Will you come here every night now, at the same time?" She seemed pleased by his apparent happiness at her arrival. "Yes," she confirmed. "Every night from 1:30 to 2:00, I will be here with you. Always." They talked until 2:00 a.m., Ethan carefully maintaining his facade of pleasant surprise and affection, determined not to let her suspect his true intentions. Just before she left, she said, "You should come back to Chapel Creek, Ethan. It's difficult for me to come all this way here." "Oh, yes," Ethan said quickly, seizing the opportunity. "I miss you terribly, will you?" "And you're not there. I'll come back tomorrow. Absolutely, I will. Just visiting my parents for a night, that's all. We'll meet back at my room tomorrow night, just like before." Satisfied, she smiled sweetly and vanished at exactly 2 a.m. As soon as she was gone, Ethan scrambled out of bed and ran to his parents' room, waking them in a panic. "She came," he cried. "She found me. She was here in my room." His parents were aghast. They were heavy sleepers. They hadn't heard a sound. The reality of what their son was facing hit them with full force. His mother wept, terrified for him. Word of the uncanny visitor spread through the small village like wildfire. Ethan's plight became the talk of the community, the entity that had followed him all the way from the town, visiting him nightly, seemingly inescapable. The village elders decided they needed expert help. 2 villages over, in a place called Dunwich, lived a wise old pandit, known to have experience with such dark matters. The whole village gathered, and Ethan's family, accompanied by some elders, journeyed to Dunwich to see the pandit. They explained everything that had happened. The pandit listened intently. Then, he sat with Ethan, took his hand, closed his eyes in concentration for a long moment. When he opened them, he spoke, his voice grave, addressing the assembled villagers and family. "This entity that plagues him," he said, "is a Pishachini, a female spirit, ancient and deeply possessive. She has become fixated on him, and once a Pishachini desires someone, she never, ever lets them go." A murmur of fear rippled through the crowd. Ethan's father stepped forward. "Panditji," he implored, "there must be a way to break this hold." "There is one way," the pandit confirmed, his expression somber. "But it is incredibly dangerous. I must be absolutely clear. If even the smallest thing goes wrong, the boy, he will die instantly. This is not a path to be taken lightly. You, the family, and the boy must decide if you are willing to risk his life to attempt to be free." Panic erupted among the family. His mother was beside herself. "No, never," she cried. "I cannot allow something that could kill my son." They were in a terrible dilemma. But then Ethan stepped forward, his face pale but resolute. "Panditji," he said, his voice surprisingly strong. "Do it. Whatever it is, I am ready. I'm already living in a sort of hell. I'd rather die trying to be free than live like this forever." A hushed silence fell over everyone. They looked at Ethan, some admiring his courage, others pitying him. They didn't fully grasp the suffocating torment he was enduring, the sheer exhaustion of living under that constant possessive presence. What had started as a strange, flattering encounter had become a living nightmare he desperately needed to escape. "Very well," the pandit said finally. "It is late now. We must return to where this began, to the room in Chapel Creek. We will prepare there tomorrow and undertake the process." That night, back in the village, Ethan insisted on sleeping in his parents' room. He hoped that their presence might offer some protection, or at least ensure they witnessed the Pishachini's arrival. As 1:30 a.m. arrived, he heard the familiar sound, and she was there, standing by the door to their room, looking in at him. She spoke, her voice carrying only to him. "Why are you sleeping with them, Ethan? Are you still trying to hide from me? Did you think they could protect you? I told you no one can separate us, and I will harm anyone who tries." Ethan, lying between his parents, who seemed to be in a deep, unnatural sleep and heard nothing, spoke softly back, trying not to wake them. He reiterated that he was unwell, that he wasn't trying to leave her, just resting with his family. He continued to act as if he looked forward to returning to Chapel Creek, carefully avoiding any hint of the pandit or the planned ritual. She stayed until 2 a.m., talking, reiterating her claims over him, but seeming placated by his apparent willingness to return. She reminded him to come back the next day, and just before she vanished, she repeated that it was hard for her to come to the village. Ethan readily agreed to return the next day, reinforcing her belief that he was simply visiting. As soon as she was gone at 2 a.m., Ethan woke his parents, telling them she had been there. They were shocked, having been in such a deep sleep they couldn't believe it. It was clear she had some power over them, perhaps inducing that unnatural slumber. The next day, they all returned to Chapel Creek. Ethan, his parents, the pandit, some villagers, and they met up with Mr. Harrison. The pandit explained to Mr. Harrison that they needed his help. Mr. Harrison, still shaken from the previous night but determined to assist his friend's son, readily agreed. "Anything you need, Panditji. This boy, he needs help." The pandit looked at Ethan's room. "This room," he instructed Mr. Harrison, "must be decorated entirely with flowers, like a wedding chamber. Every surface, the bed, everything. Fill it with flowers." Mr. Harrison, though finding the request peculiar, set to work. Meanwhile, the pandit took Ethan aside. "Ethan," he said, his gaze steady, "today is the day. We will attempt to break her hold. You must be brave and you must follow my instructions precisely. A single mistake, remember, could cost you your life." Ethan, despite the fear gnawing at him, nodded. "I understand, Panditji. I'm ready. I'll do exactly as you say." By late afternoon, the room was transformed, heavily adorned with flowers, thick with their scent. Around 11 o'clock, the pandit led Ethan into the room. He explained the final critical steps of the ritual, reinforcing the absolute necessity of sticking to the plan. "Remember, son," the pandit warned before leaving him alone in the room. "Your life hangs in the balance. Be strong, and do exactly as I've told you." Ethan sat on the edge of the flower-covered bed, the silence of the room amplifying the pounding of his heart. As 1:30 a.m. drew near, he stood up, positioning himself near the door, but with his back slightly turned to it. He also subtly disarranged some of the flowers on the bed, as instructed. Precisely at 1:30 a.m., the door opened. Ethan turned slowly. There she was, standing just inside the room, smiling at him. Ethan forced a smile back, a calculated smile, and said, "Oh, you've come again?" Her smile faltered slightly. She looked around the room, taking in the elaborate floral decoration, an unexpected sight. Then she looked back at Ethan, confused by his words. "Come again?" she repeated. "What do you mean? I just arrived." Ethan shook his head, maintaining the performance. "What? No, you were just here. You left only a little while ago. You've come back already? How wonderful. I get to see you twice tonight." The girl's expression shifted from confusion to anger. "Twice? Don't be ridiculous. You know I only come once a night. I wasn't here before. Are you playing a game with me?" "A game?" Ethan countered, feigning surprise. "Why would I do that? Look around. We decorated the room together just now, didn't we? All these flowers. You helped me arrange them. You were just here. I'm just happy to see you again so soon." He pointed to the slightly disarranged flowers on the bed as evidence. This was the pandit's crucial strategy. Sow doubt. Make the Pishachini believe another entity had taken her form to see him. The girl's face hardened, turning cold as stone. "No," she insisted, her voice sharp with fury. "I was not here. Someone else must have come, pretending to be me, taking my form." Ethan, following the pandit's plan, acted concerned. "Someone else? Taking your form? But I don't want anyone else. I only like you. I want to be with you, not some imposter. I don't need anyone else." Seeing his apparent distress and perhaps feeling her claim over him threatened, the girl's tone shifted. "All right," she said, her anger now directed elsewhere. "All right, don't worry, Ethan. I will deal with this imposter. I will drive her away from you. But you have to do something for me. You have to trust me completely." Ethan, playing his part, nodded immediately. Trust you? Of course I trust you. What do I need to do? There is only one way to deal with this, she said, her voice lowering conspiratorially. But you must have absolute faith in me. She then told him the task. You must come with me. We need to retrieve a specific plant. At this, Ethan's heart sank, but he knew this was the critical moment, the true test. He had to go with her. He put on a brave face. A plant? All right. Where do we go? You must come with me, just follow me, she instructed. Not far from here, to the north, there is a very old oak tree. Behind that tree is a certain plant. You must go and uproot it. She paused, her eyes fixed on him. I cannot touch it. I cannot even go near it. If I could, do you think I'd be asking you? This is something you must do. I will take you there. But listen carefully. Once you have the plant, you will have to come back alone. I cannot be near you when you carry it. All right, Ethan said, trying to sound determined. I'll do it. Anything for you. They left the room and the house, walking northwards out into the night. The girl held his hand, guiding him, as he was still weak and unsteady on his feet. She kept repeating her instructions, reminding him that she wouldn't be with him on the return journey. They walked through the outskirts of the town and into the surrounding countryside. Eventually, they arrived at a truly colossal oak tree. Ethan had never seen anything so massive. It was dark, but the moonlight breaking through patchy clouds illuminated the area around the tree. Its trunk was immense. Its branches seemed to scrape the sky. She led him behind the tree and pointed. There it was, a small, unassuming plant nestled in the shadows. That is it, she said. Uproot that plant and take it back to your room. As instructed, Ethan knelt down and pulled the plant from the earth. The moment he had it in his hand and turned to leave, he looked up. She was gone. Hello? He called out, a tremor of fear in his voice. Where are you? Are you still there? A sudden wave of panic washed over him. Had he been tricked? Was this a trap? Then, in the moonlight, some 40 or 50 yards away, he saw her. She was standing there, watching him. I'm here, she called back. Come on, Ethan. You have to come back alone now. I can't come any closer to you with the plant. Swallowing his fear, Ethan held the plant carefully and began walking back towards the house, the girl following at a distance. They reached his room before 2 a.m., a considerable journey, perhaps 3 miles, and they had made good time. Now, she said when he reached his door, take that plant and put it in the room next door. This was the room where Mr. Harrison had hidden. Ethan did as he was told, placing the plant in the adjacent room. He returned to his own doorway. Listen, she instructed. From now on, every morning, after I leave, you must bring that plant into your room. Keep it here during the day. Then every night before 1:30, take it back to the other room. Put it away. This will keep the other one, the imposter, away from you. I will come, just like always, from 1:30 to 2. Do this, and no one else will bother you. With that, she smiled and vanished as the close K neared 2. 5 minutes after she was gone, Ethan bolted from his room and ran to Mr. Harrison's house, where the Pandit and the others were waiting anxiously. Seeing Ethan, a wave of relief washed over them. Pandit Ji! Ethan gasped, holding up the plant he had retrieved from the other room. She took me. She made me get this. The Pandit took the plant, his eyes sharp. He immediately began working, fashioning several small amulets from the plant material. He tied one around Ethan's neck, and 2 others tightly onto his arms with knots that were incredibly difficult, almost impossible to untie without cutting them. Ethan, the Pandit said, his voice serious, as long as you wear these amulets, she cannot come near you. They will protect you. But heed my warning. Never, under any circumstances, take them off. If you do, she will take you, and nothing in this world will be able to save you. The next night, at 1:30 a.m., the girl appeared at Ethan's door as expected. She looked at him, standing there with the amulets clearly visible, and her smile vanished completely. Ethan, she said, her voice devoid of its usual charm, a dangerous edge to it. Why have you done this? Why have you made these things? Have you put the plan away? Are you trying to leave me after all? Ethan, remembering the pandit's instructions, said nothing. He simply looked at her, a faint, perhaps defiant smile on his lips. She understood instantly. She had been tricked. Her expression softened, a desperate plea entering her eyes. "Ethan, please," she said, trying the old approach. "I love you. I would never hurt you. Please, take those off. Let's be together, like we were. Don't listen to them." Ethan remained silent, a statue of quiet resolve. She stayed at his door until 2 a.m., pleading, begging, trying to convince him, but he gave no response. At precisely 2 a.m., she vanished. The following night she returned, her pleas more desperate. Still, Ethan said nothing. On the third, maybe fourth night, her tone changed completely. The pleading was replaced by cold, hard threats. "You think those trinkets can protect you forever?" she hissed, her voice dripping with malice. "They won't last, and the day they wear off, or the day you remove them, I will come for you. And not just you. I will destroy your entire family. I'll wipe them from existence." She paused, her eyes blazing with a malevolent light. "This is your last chance, Ethan. Get rid of the plant. Take off those amulets. I will forgive you. I will leave your family alone, and we can be together again." Ethan, though terrified, held firm. He met her gaze, but offered no word, no gesture, just sat there, resolute. As 2 a.m. struck, she disappeared, her final threat hanging in the air. After that night, her visits gradually ceased. Ethan is still alive today, but the threat remains. Every month, his family takes him to the pandit in Dunwich. The pandit examines the amulets, reinforces their power, and delivers the same solemn warning. "Remember, son, whatever happens in life, never, ever remove these. They are your shield." And so, Ethan lives, protected by the pandit's work, forever vigilant. A young man who was sought out by a malevolent entity, an uninvited guest who refused to leave, and from whom he can never truly be free. This was Ethan's story, a stark reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things are those that come to you. Right then, don't forget the title contest. Let us know your best ideas in the comments below. And until next time, stay safe out there, and be mindful of what might be watching.